In the soft glow of the evening, Ethan's quarters on the distant planet of Trinia bathed in a muted light, casting whimsical shadows that danced along the walls like whispers of secrets long held. He had just returned from the bustling market of the alien metropolis, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, still clinging to his senses like the remnants of a vibrant dream. Dropping his satchel with a dull thud, the faint scent of exotic spices lingered in the air around him. As Ethan moved further into his dimly lit quarters, a low hum filled the space, a melody that stirred something primal within him, a reminder of the reality that felt both otherworldly and intimately familiar. His gaze drifted to the corner where the shadows seemed to pulse with life. There, his alien maid, Celestia, stood, an ethereal beauty with skin that shimmered like polished silver under the room's soft light. Tall and statuesque, her long, flowing hair cascaded in waves of iridescent hues, shifting from deep violet to cerulean with every subtle movement. Her large, expressive eyes, vibrant pools of emerald, held a depth that seemed to draw him in, hinting at untold stories and simmering emotions. Tonight, Celestia was not adorned in her usual garments. Instead, she stood before him completely bare, her body an unfiltered vision of elegance and allure. Her posture was confident, yet inviting, the slight arch of her back accentuating her curves in a way that made Ethan's heart race. He felt an involuntary heat rise within him, a blend of confusion and an undeniable pull that threatened to consume his thoughts. "Ethan," she said, her voice smooth as silk, echoing softly in the dim light. "I've been waiting for you." His breath hitched, the weight of her gaze leaving him momentarily speechless. The room felt both intimate and overwhelming, and he could feel his pulse quickening, each beat a reminder of the tension that crackled in the air. "Celestia, he stammered, uncertain how to respond to her boldness. His mind raced, trying to decipher the invitation that lingered in the air between them. Why am I standing here like this?" she interrupted, her lips curling into a teasing smile. "I want to show you what it means to truly connect with another being." Her words hung in the air, a challenge and an invitation intertwined. Ethan's internal conflict surged, battling between his innate curiosity and the societal norms ingrained in him. He had always been told that intimacy was a complex dance filled with rules and boundaries, but standing before Celestia, those rules felt insignificant, overshadowed by an overwhelming desire to explore the unknown. The dim light flickered, casting playful shadows across her body as she stepped closer. Ethan caught a glimpse of her delicate features, the way her lips parted slightly as if she were about to divulge secrets meant only for him. His heart raced as he struggled to find his voice, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. I don't know if this is right," he murmured, his gaze darting away, attempting to gather his thoughts. Yet he could feel her presence, drawing him in with a gravitational pull that was both alluring and frightening. "It doesn't have to be right or wrong," she said softly, her voice a soothing balm against his inner turmoil. "It can simply be what we make of it." Ethan's heart raced, caught in a tempest of emotion. He wanted to argue, to retreat to the safety of his reasoning, but the softness in her tone melted his resolve. He was captivated, drawn into her world where pleasure and connection transcended the barriers he had been taught to uphold. "Join me," Celestia urged, her hand reaching out toward him, fingers beckoning with an intimacy that sent shivers down his spine. He hesitated for a moment, wrestling with the conflicting emotions swirling within him. The allure of the moment was intoxicating, yet the shadows of doubt clung tightly to his mind. Could he truly embrace this? As if sensing his internal struggle, Celestia took another step closer, her body radiating warmth. "I promise you, Ethan, It will be an experience like no other. Let go of your fears and embrace the moment." Her words resonated deep within him, whispering to the part of him that craved adventure, that longed to break free from the chains of convention. Slowly, almost unconsciously, he moved forward, closing the distance between them. The air around them crackled with energy, charged with possibilities as he reached for her hand. In that moment, everything faded away. The world outside, the rules and expectations, vanished into oblivion. All that remained was the two of them, suspended in time as their fingers intertwined. Celestia's warmth enveloped him, igniting a fire within that he had never known existed. A surge of adrenaline coursed through him, and with it came a sense of liberation. The doubts began to dissipate, replaced by an intoxicating thrill. As Ethan's hand clasped Celestia's, the flickering shadows in the room seemed to still, converging into a calm that was as intoxicating as the charged air around them. Celestia led him gently toward the center of the room, where the soft light from the overhead bioluminescent orbs cast an otherworldly glow on her silver skin. "No," she whispered, her voice low and sultry. "Let us explore what lies beneath the surface." Ethan felt his resolve falter as she gently pulled him toward the bed, the fabric soft beneath their bodies. The air felt thick with anticipation, each breath heavy with unspoken desires. He watched as she leaned closer, her gaze penetrating and fierce, her lips mere inches from his. In that electrifying moment, all thoughts faded away, leaving only raw instinct. The thrill of the unknown intertwined with the primal need that surged within him, urging him forward as he leaned into her. Their lips met, igniting a flame that would set their worlds ablaze. But in the midst of passion, an unshakable feeling of unease began to creep in, shadowing the thrill. Was this truly a connection born of desire, or was there something darker lurking beneath the surface of Celestia's invitation? With that thought, the warmth of their connection began to feel like a double-edged sword, promising both ecstasy and chaos. Ethan's heart raced as they plunged deeper into the night, unaware of the whirlwind of emotions and consequences that awaited them. As the night unfolded, the boundaries of pleasure and pain blurred, twisting into a tapestry of emotions that would leave their marks on both Ethan and Celestia, forever altering the course of their lives. Little did they know that the thrill of exploration would unveil not just the depths of their desires, but also the shadows of the unknown that lurked within Celestia's true nature. The soft glow of the bioluminescent lights in Ethan's quarters cast an otherworldly hue over the scene, illuminating the space with a gentle shimmer as their lips met. The world outside faded away, leaving only the two of them, suspended in a moment that felt both timeless and fleeting. The sensation of Celestia's body against his sent waves of warmth cascading through him, igniting every nerve ending with a potent mix of exhilaration and fear. Ethan pulled her closer, their bodies aligning in a way that felt both natural and alien. Her skin was cool to the touch, a stark contrast to the heat radiating from him, a reminder of the unfamiliarity that surrounded them. The kiss deepened, an exploration of uncharted territory, both exhilarating and terrifying, as if they were stepping onto a precipice, unsure of what lay beneath. Celestia's hands glided along his back, trailing down his spine with feather-like touches that made him shiver. He was entranced by the way her fingers danced over his skin, igniting sensations he had never experienced before. In that moment, the weight of his doubts lifted, replaced by an intoxicating desire that surged through him, urging him to lose himself in this new world she had opened to him. She pulled away slightly, her emerald eyes searching his, reflecting a mix of curiosity and something deeper, an understanding that transcended words. "Ethan," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper, "are you ready to explore the unknown?" He nodded, his breath hitching in his throat, the gravity of her question hanging in the air, laden with the promise of adventure and potential danger. "I am," he replied, the determination in his voice surprising even him. Celestia smiled, a look of approval flashing across her face. She leaned in closer, her lips brushing against his cheek before trailing down to his neck, sending shivers racing through him. "Then let us begin," she murmured, her breath hot against his skin as her lips continued their descent. Ethan felt as though he were being drawn into a vortex of sensation, each touch unraveling the tightly woven fabric of his inhibitions. He had never imagined that intimacy could feel so electric, so consuming. With every kiss, every caress, the world around them melted away, leaving only the two of them enveloped in their private universe. But as their passion deepened, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just beneath the surface. The connection he felt with Celestia was undeniable, yet he sensed an enigmatic darkness that accompanied it. It was as if her very essence held secrets that danced just out of reach, whispering to him in tantalizing hints. Celestia seemed to sense his hesitation, her movements becoming more deliberate, as if she were guiding him into a rhythm that echoed the throbbing pulse of their desire. "Trust me," she said softly, her lips brushing against his ear, igniting a fire in the pit of his stomach. "Let go of your fears. Surrender to the moment." The urgency in her voice, coupled with the intensity of their connection, made it difficult for Ethan to resist. The promise of pleasure surged within him, drowning out the lingering doubts that clawed at the edges of his mind. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment, allowing the intoxicating heat of their passion to engulf him. Ethan began to mirror her movements, his hands exploring the contours of her body, tracing the delicate lines that defined her. Every touch ignited a spark of electricity between them, building a crescendo of desire that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. The deeper he delved into this newfound connection, the more he found himself captivated by her beauty, both inside and out. Celestia responded to his touch with a soft sigh, her body arching toward him as if they were two celestial bodies drawn together by an invisible force. "Yes," she whispered, her voice a sultry promise that sent shivers down his spine. "You're beginning to understand." But as their bodies entwined, a flicker of doubt ignited within him. The unyielding thought crept back into his mind. Was this truly an exploration of connection, or was he merely a pawn in a game far beyond his understanding? "Celestia," he murmured, pulling back slightly to look into her eyes. "What are you?" For a moment her expression faltered, a flicker of something dark passing through her vibrant emerald gaze. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by the sultry confidence that had drawn him to her in the first place. "I am what you desire," she said, her voice low and inviting. "And I am everything you have yet to discover about yourself." Her words hung in the air, heavy with promise and intrigue, as she leaned in once more. Ethan felt a swell of confusion and desire crash over him, engulfing him in an emotional tide that left him breathless. They fell back onto the bed, the fabric soft against his skin, as Celestia began to explore him with an urgency that mirrored his own. The heat between them intensified, building like a storm ready to break. Each kiss became a declaration, a promise of discovery, as they surrendered to the rhythm of their bodies, each movement a step deeper into the unknown. As Celestia and Ethan's bodies moved in unison, a powerful current surged between them. Their connection, electric and undeniable, wove a tapestry of desire and discovery, each touch, each whisper, a testament to their burgeoning bond. Yet, as their passions deepened, the darkness that lurked at the edges of Ethan's mind grew more persistent, casting a shadow over the luminous intimacy they shared. In the hushed whispers of the night, with only the ethereal glow of the bioluminescent lights casting their silhouettes in soft relief, Ethan found himself grappling with the dual forces of desire and doubt. Celestia, sensing his internal conflict, paused, her luminous eyes searching his with an intensity that both comforted and unnerved him. "Ethan," she murmured, her voice a blend of curiosity and caution, "do you trust me?" Her question hung in the air, dense with the weight of all that remained unsaid between them. Ethan, caught in the throes of his conflicting emotions, hesitated. His gaze drifted over her features, the alien beauty that both enticed and mystified him. "I want to trust you, Celestia, but I feel there's more you haven't told me. Something important." Celestia's expression softened, a hint of vulnerability flickering across her normally composed visage. "There is much about my world, about myself, that is difficult to understand, but tonight I wish only to share with you the truth of my feelings." With those words, she drew him close again, her touch gentle yet insistent. Ethan, moved by her sincerity, allowed himself to be drawn back into the embrace of her warmth. As they resumed their intimate dance, the room seemed to pulse with a newfound energy, the air thick with the scent of the exotic flowers that bloomed in the darkness outside. The intensity of their connection deepened, weaving a complex layer of emotions and sensations that seemed to transport Ethan beyond the confines of the room, beyond the boundaries of his earthly understanding. Celestia guided him through this new realm, her movements deliberate, each touch and kiss imbued with a significance that transcended physical pleasure. As dawn approached, with the first hints of light softening the darkness, Ethan lay beside Celestia, his mind awash with a tumult of feelings. The unease that had plagued him throughout the night had ebbed, replaced by a profound sense of connection to the alien being beside him. Yet the mystery of her true nature lingered, a silent question that echoed in the stillness of the early morning. Celestia stirred beside him, her emerald eyes reflecting the pale light that now filtered through the windows. "The night is ending, Ethan, and with it comes a choice. Will you continue this journey with me, not just here but beyond? To explore the depths of not only what we feel, but also who we can become together?" Ethan looked into her eyes, seeing not just the alien otherness that had first captivated him, but also a soul that seemed in many ways as human as his own. The fears and doubts that had clouded his thoughts felt distant now, overshadowed by the genuine affection and curiosity he felt for Celestia. "I will," he said, his voice firm with resolve. "I want to understand all that you are, and I want to see where this path leads us, together." Celestia smiled, a radiant expression that seemed to illuminate the room. She leaned in, kissing him softly, her lips conveying gratitude and affection. "Then let us begin anew, Ethan. Let us explore not just the unknowns of our relationship, but also the wonders of my world. Today, I will show you my home as no other human has seen it." As they rose from the bed, the room awash in the gentle light of dawn, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Hand in hand, they moved towards the door that would lead them out of the confines of his quarters and into the broader world of Trinia, a world that, until now, he had only begun to understand. With each step, Ethan's anticipation grew. He was no longer just a visitor on an alien planet, nor merely a man caught in the thrall of an alien seduction. He was a traveler on the brink of discovery, a man poised to bridge two worlds with the help of the extraordinary woman at his side. The journey ahead promised challenges and revelations, but for the first time, Ethan felt truly ready to face whatever lay beyond the horizon, with Celestia as his guide and partner in the great unknown. As Ethan and Celestia stepped out of his quarters into the early light of Trinia, the world around them seemed to pulse with a vibrant life of its own. The air was filled with the sounds of the bustling city, the calls of distant creatures, and the whisper of the wind through structures that were as much a part of nature as they were of alien architecture. Celestia took Ethan's hand, guiding him through the winding streets of the city, her steps sure and graceful. The city was a marvel of bioengineering, with buildings that resembled grown crystals and streets that flowed like rivers of smooth stone. The inhabitants of Trinia, other beings of various shapes and sizes, moved about their day, some pausing to cast curious glances at Ethan, their eyes flickering with a mixture of interest and suspicion. "We are going to the heart of my world, to the Elders' Council," Celestia explained as they walked. "It is there that you will truly see what it means to be a part of Trinia. You will learn our ways, our culture, and perhaps our secrets." Ethan nodded, his mind racing with anticipation and a trace of nervousness. The concept of meeting alien elders, beings who likely held the knowledge and wisdom of centuries, was daunting, yet the warmth of Celestia's hand in his was a constant reassurance. They arrived at a towering structure that spiraled towards the sky, its surface shimmering with the same bioluminescent glow that seemed omnipresent in this world. The entrance was guarded by two statuesque beings, their forms lithe and covered in scales that glittered under Trinia's twin suns. Celestia spoke to them in her melodic language, her voice carrying a tone of respect and authority. After a moment, the guards stepped aside, allowing them to pass. Inside, the building was even more astonishing. The walls were alive with a soft light, pulsing gently as if breathing. The air was filled with a sweet, fragrant mist that made Ethan's senses tingle. They were led through a series of winding corridors, each turn and arch revealing more of the complex beauty of Trinian architecture, until they reached a large chamber at the heart of the structure. The Elders' Council was seated in a semicircle, their appearances as diverse as the ecosystem Ethan had observed outside. Some resembled Celestia in their ethereal beauty, while others were more rugged, their skins textured like the bark of trees or the roughness of rocks, reflecting the diverse environments of Trinia. Celestia stepped forward, releasing Ethan's hand, and addressed the council in her flowing language. While Ethan could not understand the words, the tone of mutual respect was unmistakable. After a few moments, she turned and gestured for Ethan to come forward. "This is Ethan," she said, her voice switching to English for his benefit. "He has come from Earth, not to conquer or demand, but to learn and build bridges between our worlds." One of the elders, a particularly stately figure whose skin shimmered like the surface of a calm sea, fixed his penetrating gaze on Ethan. "Why should we trust one from a world that is so young, so untested in the ways of the cosmos?" the elder asked, his voice resonant and carrying through the chamber. Ethan felt every eye in the room on him, the weight of their scrutiny like a physical force. He took a deep breath, recalling the reasons he had agreed to this journey, not just for personal enlightenment, but to foster understanding between two vastly different cultures. "I come in peace with a desire to learn from you," Ethan began, his voice steady despite the flutter of nerves. "I believe that by sharing knowledge and experience we can enrich both our worlds. My intentions are honest, and my admiration for your achievements is genuine." The chamber fell silent as the elders communicated among themselves in their melodic language. After a moment that felt like an eternity, the shimmering elder nodded slowly. "Very well, Ethan of Earth. We will share with you our knowledge, and in return, we ask for your perspective as a child of another star. This exchange is sacred, and your sincerity will be the measure of its worth." Relief washed over Ethan, followed by a surge of excitement. He was not only going to learn about this advanced civilization, but also contribute to a dialogue that might one day benefit both their peoples. Celestia smiled at him, pride and affection evident in her gaze. "Come," she said, turning back to the council. "Let us begin." As the elders started to speak, sharing tales of Trinia's history, culture, and technology, Ethan listened intently. Each word, each piece of knowledge, was a thread in the larger tapestry of understanding he hoped to weave. Today marked the beginning of a profound journey, not just into the heart of Trinia, but into the shared destiny of two interconnected worlds. As the elders shared their wisdom, Celestia translated the nuances of their language, helping Ethan to grasp the complexity and depth of Trinian culture. The council spoke of their planet's history, of civilizations risen and fallen, of wars fought over resources and reconciliations that followed. They spoke of their philosophy, deeply rooted in harmony with the cosmos, and their technology that mimicked natural processes, enhancing rather than exploiting their world. Ethan was particularly struck by their concept of symbiotic technology, a principle that ensured all Trinian innovations were designed to coexist with their environment, benefiting both nature and their society. This was evident in the living architecture around them, structures that breathed and grew, and in their energy systems that harnessed the natural forces of their planet without disturbing its delicate ecological balance. The elders then guided Ethan and Celestia through a series of holographic displays, showing the evolution of their society. One display depicted the Trinians' early struggle with a technology that had once threatened to consume them, a cautionary tale of hubris that had almost led to their undoing. Another display revealed the turning point, where they learned to blend technology with ecology, leading to a renaissance of innovation and peace. Ethan, absorbing every detail, realized the immense value such knowledge could hold for Earth, grappling with its own environmental crises. He asked thoughtful questions, which Celestia relayed, and the elders responded with insights that sparked ideas in Ethan's mind about sustainable solutions that could be adapted for human use. The session was intense and enlightening, stretching on for hours, yet Ethan felt a surge of energy with each new discovery. As the meeting concluded, the shimmering elder spoke again, his tone one of cautious optimism. "Ethan, you carry with you the seeds of knowledge that could either blossom into mutual prosperity or wither into mutual destruction," he said solemnly. "We trust you will choose the former." Celestia and Ethan thanked the elders, and as they left the council chamber, she turned to him with a smile that was both proud and a little weary. "You did well, Ethan. I believe they see the potential for a true exchange, not just of technology, but of ideals." As they walked back through the crystalline corridors of the council building, Ethan felt a profound sense of responsibility. He was no longer just a visitor, he was a bridge between worlds, carrying with him ideas that could change the course of human history for the better, or if mishandled, for the worse. Celestia led Ethan to a quiet garden within the building, a serene space where the flora was as diverse as the beings who walked its paths. They sat beside a gently flowing stream, its waters clear and filled with bioluminescent organisms that glowed softly in the twilight. "Ethan, there's something else I wish to show you, something personal," Celestia said, her voice lowering to a more intimate tone. "It's about my own history, my family, and how I came to be in your service." Ethan turned to her, sensing the shift in her demeanor. "I'd like to know, Celestia. I want to understand more about you." She nodded, taking a deep breath. "It's a story of loss and hope, of finding a new path when the old one is obliterated. You see, my family was once prominent in Trinian society, pioneers in the very technology that nearly destroyed us. But a tragedy during the dark times, a catastrophic failure took them from me. I was left alone, disowned by my kin, blamed for the sins of my forebears." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears, reflecting the bioluminescent light. "I was lost, Ethan, until I found a new purpose in bridging worlds. In you, I see a kindred spirit, someone also seeking to mend what's broken." Ethan reached out, taking her hand in his. "Celestia, I had no idea. Thank you for trusting me with your story. I promise, together, we'll find a way to make things right, not just for your world, but for mine as well." They sat there for a while, talking softly, sharing more of their hopes and fears. The bond between them deepened, rooted in shared purpose and understanding, and as the stars of Trinia began to sparkle in the evening sky, they both felt a sense of anticipation for what the future might bring. In their partnership, they saw the dawning of a new era, not just for themselves, but for both their peoples. In the tranquil garden, under the twinkling stars of Trinia, Ethan and Celestia continued to share their stories and dreams. The intimacy of their conversation brought them closer, weaving a connection far deeper than either had anticipated. As the night deepened, they decided to walk back towards the city center, the bioluminescent pathway lighting their steps. Along the way, Celestia paused and pointed towards a towering structure in the distance, its silhouette etched against the night sky. "That's the Aeon Tower," she explained, her voice tinged with a mixture of awe and sadness. "It's a monument to our darkest times and our greatest achievements. It's where we learned to control our technology before it consumed us." Ethan looked at the tower, its surface shimmering with a gentle light. "Can we visit it?" he asked, curiosity piqued by the significance it held in Celestia's tone. "Of course," Celestia replied, a hint of hesitation in her voice. "It's a place of reflection and learning. I think it's important for you to see it." As they approached the Aeon Tower, the air grew cooler, and the light from the tower cast surreal patterns on the ground. Inside, the atmosphere was solemn, almost sacred. Displays and artifacts chronicled the rise of Trinian technology, from its infancy to the near catastrophe and the subsequent reformation that led to their current symbiotic innovations. Celestia led Ethan to a central chamber where a holographic projection played continuously. It showed the critical moment when the Trinians almost triggered a planetary disaster. The visual was dramatic and intense, illustrating the destructive potential of unchecked innovation. "This is why we are cautious," Celestia said, watching Ethan's reaction. "We came so close to losing everything. This tower reminds us of the need for balance and respect for the forces we harness." Ethan nodded, deeply moved by the display. "It's a powerful reminder," he agreed. "We have similar challenges on Earth. We struggle with our dependence on technology that damages our world. Seeing this, understanding your history, it gives me hope that we can find our way as well." They spent several hours at the Aeon Tower, discussing each exhibit and drawing parallels to human technology and environmental challenges. Ethan took extensive notes, already formulating ideas on how to introduce these concepts to Earth, hoping they could inspire similar changes. As they left the tower, Celestia seemed contemplative, her usual vibrant demeanor tempered by the weight of history they'd revisited. Ethan sensed her mood and squeezed her hand reassuringly. "Thank you for showing me this, Celestia. It's not just educational, it's inspiring." Celestia smiled, the glow from the nearby lights reflecting in her eyes. "I'm glad, Ethan. But there's more I want to share, not just the hard lessons, but also the beauty of our achievements." Their next stop was the Harmony Fields, a vast area outside the city where Trinian bioengineering was showcased in its most harmonious form. The fields were a tapestry of genetically engineered flora and fauna, all thriving in a perfectly balanced ecosystem. Here, technology was invisible, seamlessly integrated into nature. "This is what we strive for," Celestia explained as they walked through the fields. "A world where technology sustains rather than destroys." Ethan was in awe, the beauty and tranquility of the place filling him with a profound sense of peace. "It's incredible," he said. "It's hard to believe that such harmony is possible." "It is," Celestia affirmed, "with respect, understanding, and creativity. These are the values I hope you'll take back to Earth." As the first light of dawn began to illuminate the fields, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The connection with Celestia, their shared mission to bridge their worlds through understanding and technology, seemed more possible than ever. "I will," Ethan promised, looking out over the fields. "And I hope one day you can see the changes on Earth that were inspired by Trinia." Celestia nodded, her expression hopeful. "I believe in you, Ethan, and I believe in the future we can build together." Hand in hand, they watched the sun rise, the light spilling over the land and reflecting their newfound resolve. Together, they would work towards a future where both their worlds could thrive in harmony, learning from each other's past to build a better tomorrow. As the new day dawned over the Harmony fields, the golden sunlight casting long shadows across the undulating landscape, Ethan and Celestia stood together, united by a shared vision. The serene beauty surrounding them underscored the possibilities that lay ahead, a future where the melding of their two worlds could lead to a sustainable and peaceful coexistence. They spent the morning walking through the fields, discussing detailed plans on how to initiate collaboration projects between Earth and Trinia. Celestia outlined potential cultural exchanges and technological partnerships that could benefit both planets. Her knowledge of Trinian technology, combined with Ethan's understanding of Earth's environmental needs, shaped a robust framework for their first joint initiative, developing biodegradable energy sources that could replace Earth's depleting fossil fuels. After a long discussion, they returned to the city, ready to present their ideas to the Trinian Council. Their proposal highlighted the mutual benefits. Earth would gain access to advanced ecological technologies, while Trinia would receive insights into human ingenuity and adaptability, elements that fascinated the Trinians due to their own historical isolation. At the council meeting, the response was overwhelmingly positive. The elders, impressed by the sincerity and the detailed planning of their proposal, agreed to a trial project. They appointed a committee to oversee the initiative, ensuring that both Trinian principles and Earth's interests were respected. With the council's blessing, Ethan prepared for his return to Earth. He knew he was going back not just as an envoy, but as a pioneer of a new era of interstellar cooperation. His time on Trinia had transformed him, imbuing him with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. On his last night on Trinia, Celestia took him to a high plateau overlooking the city. The skyline was a silhouette against the twin moons, their light reflecting off the crystal structures, bathing the city in a soft, ethereal glow. "Ethan," Celestia said, her voice soft in the quiet of the night. "What we've started here, it's just the beginning. There's so much more we can achieve together." Ethan took her hand, feeling the cool, smooth texture of her skin against his. "I know," he replied, "and I'm committed to making sure we succeed. What we've seen here, the harmony you've achieved with your technology, it's a model for what I hope we can create on Earth." Celestia nodded, her eyes luminous under the moon's glow. "And I will come to Earth, Ethan, to see the changes, to help guide them. Our journey together isn't ending, it's just taking a new form." They stood together in silence, watching the city below, the sense of a shared future filling them with anticipation. When it was time to leave, Celestia escorted Ethan to the transport station. Their goodbye was a promise of swift reunions and future collaborations. Ethan's journey back to Earth was a time of reflection. He thought about the immense responsibilities he carried, the dreams of two worlds resting on the success of their joint efforts. But rather than feeling daunted, he felt empowered, buoyed by the support and the love of someone from a distant world. Upon his return, Ethan was greeted with curiosity and cautious optimism. He relayed everything he had learned, the potential benefits of Trinian technologies, and the importance of approaching these new tools with the same respect and balance that the Trinians did. His tales of Celestia, the Council, and the Harmony fields painted a picture of what was possible when two very different cultures chose cooperation over conflict. The trial project was a success, leading to significant advancements in Earth's sustainable energy solutions. The biodegradable energy sources were just the beginning. Over time, more Trinians visited Earth, and Earth representatives traveled to Trinia, each exchange bringing new ideas and deeper mutual respect. Celestia visited as promised, her presence on Earth a bridge between the two worlds. Together, they watched the inauguration of the first Earth Trinia Environmental Harmony Center, a symbol of their enduring partnership. As they stood together during the opening ceremony, Celestia turned to Ethan, her smile wide and hopeful. "See? What we dreamed in the fields of Trinia is now real here on Earth." Ethan, his heart full, looked out over the crowd of Earthlings and Trinians, all gathered to celebrate this new chapter. "It is," he agreed, squeezing her hand, "and it's only the beginning." Together, under the shared sky of one planet and the distant stars of another, they looked forward to a future not just of survival, but of flourishing, for both their worlds, intertwined by the efforts of those who dared to dream, to trust, and to build bridges across the stars.